there's anyone that is a member of the council or a member of the ICS team that's on.
Thank you. I call to
This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you. I call to order the COVID-19 update community teleconference for Thursday, October 29, 2020. The time is 6:30 p.m. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Mayor Ronnie Felder. Chairperson Julia Botel.
Here.
Chair Pro Tem Douglas Lawson. Councilperson Trodrick McCoy. Councilperson Kashamba Miller-Anderson.
Present.
Councilperson Shirley Lanier. City Manager Jonathan Evans.
Present.
City Clerk Claudine Anthony is present. City Attorney Don Wynn. Turn it over to you, Mr. Evans.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the council, and also those residents that are listening in. This is our COVID update for the elected officials, and if anyone that is a presenter or any member of the elected officials have joined us, if you can hit *9 for us to be able to unmute your line. Obviously, as a result of the pandemic, we have seen some numbers that increased, and Chief Kurt will speak more specifically on the increases that we're seeing. For the City of Riviera Beach related to our employees, we do not have any staff cases. This has been a good thing for us for the last couple of weeks. We have seen no cases in our workforce, but we are monitoring it. We do have employees that have family members that have contracted the virus, and we have had situations where individuals have taken some precautionary steps to quarantine because they were exposed to someone that has tested positive. But we are thankful that we have no cases in the workforce as of today. We know that we're in the full swing of flu season, and so we are encouraging individuals to get their flu vaccination. You're seeing that become a more common occurrence, and we are looking at the possibility and feasibility of facilitating a situation whereby the City of Riviera Beach can offer that to the residents, but that is at the staff level, and we haven't been able to solidify that as of yet, but we're hoping to be able to bring that to bear for the community in short order. One of the things that we are encouraging folks to do, and we've heard from multiple health experts as for prophylactic use, to take vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc, anything that is intended to boost your immune system, certainly naturally, would be our preference, but we have to be conscientious of, we expect a more than normal flu season, as well as coupled with COVID. We have some challenges that we can anticipate as it relates to the virus and influenza during the holiday season. City halls and other facilities are open. We are looking at events and activities on a case-by-case scenario, and we are encouraging folks when they do submit requests for any types of events and activities that those are looked at and scheduled for after the first of the year. Any activities or programs that are city-related activities or programs or events are conducted in a drive-through fashion. This is intended to minimize the spread and the opportunity for the spread of the virus. But we have seen a number of entities and individuals request the use of city facilities, and we have started to take bookings tentatively after the first of the year. But we are going to continue to monitor the numbers and make a determination as to when it is safe to move forward with some of these activities and events. There is also COVID protocols that are being put in place in the event that there is an activity or a program that we authorize to move forward, but those are scrutinized heavily by administration as well as public safety for the purposes of making sure that we don't have an event that can adversely impact any persons or become an event that perpetuates the spread of COVID. We know that the governor issued Executive Order 2244 that lists some of the restrictions that were placed on restaurants and giving them the ability to utilize more capacity in the interior of their facilities, as well as allowing for full operations to be open on the exterior or outdoor seating that they do have. We were successful in working with the Health Department and the Health and Human Services operation to be able to deliver pop-up testing on November 10th at Wells Recreation Center. This is in collaboration with the Health Department from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And we are also looking at the possibility and the feasibility of antigen testing at the site in the next couple of weeks. We're still working on some details on that. Chief Kurd has been working on a committee with other professionals in the realm of public safety to look at a vaccine and how a vaccine would be brought to the community. We're looking at it from a logistics perspective. The city of Riviera Beach has put its name on the list to be a site of distribution, and Chief Kurd will speak to that and the progress that we've made with regards to that. On the county's website, pbc.gov.org, there is a section on the website that speaks to COVID compliance and business compliance. And so I had the opportunity to take a look at the website. And as of today, the city of Riviera Beach has had in totality 533 complaints out of 7,600 complaints countywide. Those complaints range from the number of capacity operations or the number of persons are in a particular establishment related to capacity, or staff not wearing the appropriate personal protective equipment. We account for about 6.9% of the total number, but relatively speaking, we are doing very well compared to our other communities. If we look at the town of Palm Beach, they have roughly about 3,500 complaints and account for about 46% of the total number of violations that have been communicated to the county. The complaints that have been found in the city of Riviera Beach, from the ones that I perused, and I looked at roughly about 150 of those, the city of Riviera Beach was in compliance with all of those concerns that were communicated by persons through that website. So if there is some issues or some concerns that you experience at any of our establishments, please communicate that to staff immediately. And when I mean staff, the restaurant staff or the establishment staff, give them the opportunity to correct the issue internally. And if there is not compliance, which I doubt there will be any issues, because our businesses are very good in addressing concerns that people bring to their attention, then you have an opportunity to go to pbc.gov.org and issue a complaint, and then the county will look into it and determine if it is something that warrants a citation, etc. And the citation is more in a corrective action. There's not a punitive element associated with that, but our businesses are doing exceptionally well. When we are looking at what the next phases of operations look like as a result of COVID, the city managers have had conversations about the numbers continuing to increase and what do we do holistically as far as our operations during the holiday season. And so we are acutely aware of what's going on. We're monitoring and watching what's going on, and we are building out models that in the event that we had to pull back some of our operational elements, we would be prepared to do so. Right now, the city of Riviera Beach stands in phase 2, and our phase 2 mirrors some of the same elements that are in phase 3. We're just not moving forward with some of the activities and events and the programs that the other municipality and the county is doing. Some other municipalities have moved completely into phase 2 and now are taking steps to pull some of their operational activities back. So we are making sure that we're watching that, having the conversation with appropriate personnel internally, and in the event that there is any service delivery model that is changed and modified as a result of the pandemic and the numbers that we're seeing, we certainly will inform the board and the community accordingly. You will also hear from Chief Kurd that will speak that the numbers that we're seeing mirror some of the numbers that we saw on the early onset of the pandemic. So we are concerned. We are taking the appropriate safety protocols in the agency, encouraging any persons that is meandering through any city facility to have the appropriate facial coverings. We are having staff sanitize door handles and common areas every 30 minutes, and we have increased our cleaning protocols throughout the city and in facilities that are utilized in any capacity, from whether it's just city personnel or any activities that the public may engage with. We have increased our sanitation at the event center, as well as making sure that we move to face-to-face meetings for our city council, CRA meetings, and the like, and making sure that there's appropriate items that are deployed to accommodate any persons that would be conducting business with us, and making sure the elected officials are safe. And so we're watching this as best as we can. This is a moving target, and we are concerned about the numbers, but we are doing everything in our power to make sure that the community is safe. And from all information that we've seen, our numbers exceed what other communities are experiencing, our rate of infection, and we are not having any pockets in our community, which is a very good thing throughout the onset of this pandemic. So our community is doing an exceptional job in listening to the guidance and direction that's been provided by multiple outlets. And so we're very fortunate at this particular moment, all things considered, that we are not having a situation whereby the health department is deploying additional resources and assets to try to curtail increased spikes in the community. So with that being said, Madam Chair, I'm going to turn the presentation over to our operational section chief, Chief Kurd.
Thank you, Mr. Evans.
Thank you, Mr. Evans, and I think you quite covered it, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on exactly what is happening as it relates to COVID, not only in our country, in our state, in our county, but focusing in on what we're dealing with here in Riviera Beach. For some reason, I always seem to be the bearer of bad news, but I refuse to acknowledge that this is just going to go away. It's not going to go away. We have a long road ahead of us. There is a resurgence of COVID throughout the nation and in our community, and we're going to have some tough work ahead of us. As always, I like to go through the numbers. In the state of Florida, we've seen a total of 794,624 cases. There's been a total of 16,854 deaths in the state of Florida. In Palm Beach County, there have been 51,779 total cases, with 1,580 deaths being reported. Some of the metrics that I monitor that really tell the story of what's going on is the positivity rates. The daily positivity rates have fluctuated anywhere between 4% and 10% over the last week, even though the averages have maintained right at about 5%, which is the threshold that we would like to maintain our numbers below. what I'm seeing is we are not going to be able to maintain those numbers. Just for example, in the United States, 1,000+ deaths were reported just yesterday alone in the United States. There were a total of 81,000 new cases in the United States yesterday alone. These are not even rivaling the numbers that we've seen throughout this pandemic. These are new record highs in the United States. 47 of the 52 states are showing increases in the number of COVID cases. The Midwest is obviously a hot spot. We are definitely seeing a resurgence of the virus, and a lot of it's being attributed to, obviously, the phase 3 reopenings that have been put in place by many states, the reopening of schools, and just people going on about their day-to-day activities, thinking COVID is over, and I'm here to tell you that it's not. When we look at the census tract information for our area, census tract area number 12, which is Blue Heron to Silver Beach, President Barack Obama Highway to the Intercoastal, there have been 8 to 13 new cases in that area. The other census tract areas look well. We are doing a great job in Riviera Beach. However, the census tract areas around us, particularly to our south and to our west, are exploding with the number of new cases on a daily basis. Again, the U.S. is seeing the highest total of new cases since the onset of this pandemic. We haven't seen numbers like this yet at any point in time through the pandemic. We are doing well, according to the data, on the death rates, but I even question on how they are documenting and quantifying and qualifying the death rates as it relates to COVID. Palm Beach County Health Department is in the process of hiring additional contact tracers to meet the demand to try to isolate and maintain control over the spread of this virus in Palm Beach County. But contact tracing is only effective in rates below 5%. While we are below 5% on an average, we are seeing daily numbers, again, anywhere between 4 to 5% up to 10%. The demographic that we're concerned with the most right now in Palm Beach County is the 15 to 44-year-old age group. Individuals between the age of 15 to 44 are going on about their normal lives. They're going back to school, they're hanging out with their friends, going to dinners, socializing, going to bars, drinking, doing those things that we were normally doing, and they're doing it without the use of the appropriate facial coverings, the hand sanitizing, and the physical distancing that's associated or that's been mandated by Palm Beach County as part of phase 3 reopening. This is a problem to our elderly community because these individuals are coming back home and they're infecting the elderly who are suffering the brunt of this pandemic. So we really need to continue to keep imploring our community and our workforce to wear those face masks, facial coverings, physical distancing, hand sanitizing, and enhanced cleaning measures are going to be key. 15 Ballpark of the Palm Beaches is conducting antigen testing. As Mr. Evans did allude to, we will be conducting testing in Riviera Beach in the next couple of weeks. We also have tentative dates set up for December. But for anybody in the community that is looking for rapid antigen testing, 15 of the Ballpark is doing it every Tuesday through Saturday from 8 to 12. There is no reservation needed, nor do you need to be symptomatic. You can just simply drive up, and within 30 to 45 minutes, you will be texted your results. So that is a great resource that is within just a couple of miles of our community where they are providing that free rapid antigen testing. Palm Beach County did extend its facial covering requirement for an additional 30 days. One of the things that we are monitoring is there are many states that have began to reimpose restrictions that we saw during the months of June and July, where we had restaurants, bars shut down, limited capacities, nail salons, beauty parlors. Some states are now reverting back to those shutdowns simply because the numbers within their state are exploding. We feel here in Palm Beach County, from what we're seeing, that some of these scale backs may be inevitable. To what degree is yet to be seen, but the numbers don't lie. We are seeing, just to put it plain, clear, and simple, an explosion of cases. So we can expect that if our community, and it's not just our community, we're pleading to Palm Beach County and the state as a whole, we have to continue to comply. These mandates are put into place for a reason, and we are now seeing the repercussions of individuals ignoring some of these mandates that have been put in place. Mr. Evans did allude to a closed point of distribution for a vaccine. We've been working very closely with the health department. Our interim deputy chief, Mark Johnson, has put together a policy and procedural manual for what a closed point of distribution for a vaccine would look like in our community. I will be emailing Mr. Evans tomorrow to establish a committee to review this policy and procedural manual. Once adopted, that will become Riviera Beach's policy. And when a vaccine becomes available, Riviera Beach has already opted into, and we have agreed to the contractual requirements to accept vaccinations and distribute them for our community and our community alone. So we're very excited to be part of that program. Not every municipality is looking to take advantage of that, but we felt it was an endeavor worthwhile for our community. Just to top it off with the tropics, if there's any bit of good news, Tropical Storm Zeta is moving through the Carolinas and will move out into the Atlantic. There is a tropical depression moving across the Lesser Antilles in the Caribbean Sea that we will continue to monitor. But for the next 7 days, we should not expect any tropical impacts. And that concludes my operational report. I turn it back over to you, Mr. Evans.
Thank you, Chief Kurt. At this time, we have our Finance Section Chief, Mr. Randy Sherman. Mr. Sherman?
Good evening, everyone. This is Randy Sherman. I'm going to follow up a little bit on what the Chief just said about some good news. As you all know, we reopened the utility process back in August, and after 3 months, we only have 170 accounts that are currently disconnected. That's about 1.2% of our 14,000 accounts that we have. And under normal circumstances, we usually run about 6 to 7% of our accounts being disconnected. So kudos to the citizens. And I also give a shout out to the customer service staff. I think they have worked real hard with the customers to get all those accounts updated and continue to have the water flow. But again, if anybody needs any help, please contact folks at customer service. That's a 845-4050 number. That's our normal customer service line. We have people on every day trying to assist. And I do also want to mention that the County Community Services Department or division still has CARES funds available. They'll cover up to 3 months of delinquencies, up to $1,200. So it is a significant amount of money. You can contact them if you go to Palm Beach County Community Services. Just Google it. It takes you right to the page where you can start your application. And if you need to call them, their number is 561-355-4792. And again, just an outstanding job. I also want to point out that our windows are open. We have limited access. We're only allowing so many people in at a time. But I will tell you, we have not been overrun. So our citizens continue to use online services, which is good for everyone. But again, if you do need to come down to City Hall, our windows are open. And that concludes the finance report. Back to you, Mr. Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. And Councilperson Lanier has been on the call since the early onset of the call. Madam Chair, we have a synthesized report because some of our operations had no additional updates or information germane to what we're seeing, but they are standing by in the event that we have to re-engage or reactivate certain elements of our incident command structure. So that concludes staff's reports for this evening, and we're prepared to answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Do we have any questions from the council or the board?
Madam Chair?
Yes, you're recognized.
Hello, everybody. I don't have any questions. Just want to say, as usual, thank you all for all the hard work that you're doing. And for those of you who are out, I know I run into a lot of people who, as you all have stated already, feel that, you know, it's kind of behind them or they're fatigued behind having to wear the mask and social distance. I know I see quite a few people that are, you know, re-engaging and having parties and gatherings at home. And I know with the holidays coming up, we still need to be extra careful. You know, even when we're around our family members who do not live in our household, I was watching a news report, and there was a family that had 19 family members that did contract COVID, and 2 of them died. And I'm sure we've heard a number of these stories over the last several months. But it's true, you know, I mean, we can't look at people and tell whether or not they have it. So we really have to be extra careful when we're around people who, especially people who are not who don't live in our homes. So just want to tell everybody, continue to wear your mask and you know, stay safe out there as much as possible. And thank you all for everything that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Miller Anderson. We appreciate that advice. Anyone else on council?
Yeah, hi, this is Councilwoman Lanier.
Thank you. You're recognized.
I just wanted to piggyback off of Councilwoman Miller Anderson in regards to, if the public is hearing this, that we have to be extra vigilant in regards to COVID-19. Based on the report that Chief Hurd has provided to us tonight, that means that we have had more cases, and we're having more cases in Florida and in this county than ever before, which means that, you know, we were, you know, hunkered down, you know, 6 months ago, but now people are going back to work, people are going back to school, which means that it's even more deadlier in terms of what happens to people who contract COVID. We live in a city that is 80% African American, underlying conditions. We need to be ever vigilant in terms of how we protect ourselves and how we navigate the public. So I just wanted to thank Chief Hurd, Mr. Evans and his staff for all of the work that they do. We are coming up on a testing event for the city of Riviera Beach. And I'm going to say again, on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., 4 p.m. at Jay's Ministries in Riviera Beach. They have testing. And if you go and get tested on a Tuesday, Wednesday, at the latest on Thursday, you will have your results back. So I encourage anyone, because we're going to grocery stores, we're going back to work, we're going to school, we're moving around, and we have to understand that you have to get tested as much as possible. Some people I talk to who live in New York, they get tested 2-3 times a week, because you have to be sure, and you have to understand that if you are positive, you may be asymptomatic. You may not even know that you're positive, but you can spread that disease to someone else who may be able, you know, it may not show up in them as asymptomatic. So I just wanted to warn the public that, you know, as he says, we don't want to be the voice of doom and gloom, but we have to be very vigilant in terms of protecting ourselves in the city of Riviera Beach. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Lanier. Anything else from council? Thank you, Mr. City Manager. You can proceed.
All right, that concludes our report. And again, thank you to the council for your support and leadership. Staff is certainly doing this under the guidance and direction, and we can't do this without a elected body that supports us through and through. So we appreciate your leadership on this, and as more information is available, we certainly will provide it to the board as well as the community. So that concludes our call for this evening. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the City Council.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
The organizer has